You're watching DIYNate. If you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to tell me about your project in the comments. Hello friends, I made this video to help people struggling with figuring out how to resolve their Icemaker issues. Particularly, this model is a Maytag MFI2665XEM7 fridge, but many of the troubleshooting steps will apply across many brands. That being said, this Icemaker can be a problem and has caused me a lot of challenges in the past. So let's jump into some of the common steps that I've used to solve my problem, and hopefully it helps you with figuring out what you've got going on with your Icemaker. One of the biggest problems for many people is going to be determining what is actually wrong and what repair is needed. So I created this video to help people with some basic pointers. I don't get into the heavy details like diagnosing. It involves the motherboard and all that sort of stuff, but these are some of the more common approaches to resolving your problem. First, try to pinpoint where your issue is coming from. Is it the Icemaker failing? Is it the water valve? Is it something else like a clogged filter or ice in the line? Is the Icemaker arm stuck in the off position or possibly stuck due to too much ice in the bucket? Depending on what you find, you may want to bypass some of these steps. Next, I consider one of the most common sense fixes the old reset it, pull the plug, kick the thing, or turn it off and turn it on. That's a pretty common fix, and sometimes that'll be surprisingly helpful, but most likely, if you're watching this video, you've already tried something like that or several steps like that, so my guess is that's probably not going to be your fix. In this case, this Icemaker particularly does have an on-off switch that you can power by pushing two buttons on the front of the fridge. Another one, you can pull the plug at the back, pause, wait 30 seconds to a minute, plug it back in. You'll hear a, doot sound kick on, and that may reset some of the components as well. While you're at it, if you're in the back of the fridge, the kinked water line in the back can cause problems as well if that water gets kinked. Just like if you shut off a hose, that water is not going to get to the Icemaker line or the water valve, so at the end of the day, you're not going to get any water, so that could also be your problem. So you might as well straighten that hose out and make sure it's not restricted and you've got a good flow of water at that point. I'm not advocating for this one because I certainly want to do it. Clearing out all your food from your refrigerator falls in line with resetting your fridge though. So de-thawing your fridge can really resolve a lot of problems. That would be more likely if you had an ice line that had gotten clogged up from getting water in the line and it iced up. So some people will recommend that, especially if you had issues with your freezer. Sometimes a leak or something like that can cause problems. So resetting your refrigerator, taking everything out, de-thawing the fridge, setting it for maybe 24 hours so it can, leaving the doors open, that can be a big help as well. All right, so let's get into some of the other fixes. The water filter change. We all are probably guilty of not changing our filters as frequently as we should. I certainly am. If you have seen a decrease in the water throughput and water not coming out at all, a water filter change is probably a good idea and it's a logical first step. So next, taking the Icemaker out to look and see what the situation is. Do you have ice in the tray that's stuck in the Icemaker and it isn't dispensing? Is it bone dry? Do you have a buildup of ice in the intake funnel that needs to be cleared out? Are there any other signs of problems? Based on that, it's going to give you a lot of ideas of what might need to happen there. So once you evaluate the status of the Icemaker, one of the big tests I like to do is simulate water in the Icemaker to see if the Icemaker will harvest. This is going to give you one of the key signals of whether or not you need to look at the water inlet valve or look at the Icemaker itself. So there are a few ways to do this, but the easiest one is probably pouring some water into the Icemaker mold while it is pulled out and then putting it back in, or possibly reaching in there using a syringe to pour some water into the Icemaker so that you can figure out if it's going to harvest or not. From my experience, if the Icemaker harvests the ice, then your Icemaker may be working fine and it could be your water inlet valve that you need to look at replacing. If the ice just builds up and sits there and it doesn't drop, then you likely have an Icemaker problem. There are some more complex troubleshooting steps involving multimeters, solenoids, and motherboards, as well as running technician diagnostics, but for this video purposes, we're going to leave those alone. So if you think you need to replace your water filter, I've left a link in the video description on how to do that. If you think you need to replace your water inlet valve, I've also left a link in the video description for that as well. Finally, depending on your Icemaker model, if you need to replace the Icemaker, I've got a video for that as well on how to replace that and swap that out. So if you'd like to keep watching me work through some of these steps on my own Icemaker diagnosis, you can see me go through some of these steps. I'll explain some of what I'm doing here, but I really wanted to give you a walkthrough. I know a lot of people have been frustrated. In fact, this is the video originally when I started DIYNate and started doing YouTube channels. I got so frustrated that I couldn't find a good video on how to fix this Icemaker that I started doing YouTube. So I'd like to thank this Icemaker and the Maytag fridge for getting me into the YouTube space. So with that, let's get into the repairs and video and we'll go from there. I'm going to be telling you about how to fix your Maytag refrigerator Icemaker. And this is one I've dealt with before and I've gone through a lot of steps to deal with this. So I am now back at it again because it's been a couple years since I last fixed this thing, and I'm trying to troubleshoot it in a different way this time because I think I've got a different issue. But I'm going to give you a few pointers on what you might be facing, because unfortunately when you call the Maytag team up there, they give you some of the basic troubleshooting steps, but your issue may vary, and they're very quick to say, hey, don't work on your Icemaker yourself. You can't handle that. You need to have somebody come out and do it. Oh, and by the way, use OEM parts and all that stuff. So I'm kind of taking a different approach. I like to solve stuff myself, and also I don't really want to pay half the price for the refrigerator just to repair my Icemaker. So that's why we're troubleshooting it ourselves. So here's what I got going on today. My Icemaker is not producing ice. However, I am getting water from the water filter. Now, just for reference, this is a Maytag MFI2665XEM7 model. Probably pretty similar to other Maytag models, but I at least want you aware of what we're dealing with here. Okay, so what we're gonna be doing, the first step here is one of the tests I like to run is finding out if it's the Icemaker that's the problem or if it's the water line or something else. So one of the tests I like to do is I take some syringes and I will shoot water into the Icemaker if there's no water in the fill to see if it will produce ice. I tried that this time. In the past when I've done that, it actually did produce ice, which told me the Icemaker was working fine. It was water not getting to them, and it led me to a solution that is actually in the back of the fridge. Right back there, there is a water valve, and that turned out to be the original fix. This time, however, in fact, if you want to see what that water valve looks like, I'll show you a picture of it, because I went ahead and ordered one of these from Amazon just in case it turns out that is my issue. This is the part. It looks like this. I'll leave a link in the video description, and also you can check out my original video. Very first DIYNate video I ever did was talking about replacing this because it was a really frustrating fix. I troubleshot. I ended up trying the Icemaker itself, a line behind the fridge, until I landed on this part. So this is the part that actually goes in the back right there. It's pretty easy to unattach and take care of. Now, a second fix that they recommend at Maytag is they want you to replace your water filter. You can also check out my video link on how to replace your water filter. I'm not gonna do that because this is a pretty new water filter. I'm not gonna do that first because I am pretty sure it seems odd that I would be getting a good stream of water coming out of the water line and not getting ice coming out of the ice line. They do say it can happen, and especially if you don't buy their Maytag version, which I don't, I buy the cheap ones on Amazon, then you might run into that issue. But that would be a good one to rule out, change your filter and make sure. But my gut tells me if water is not coming to one or the other, filter's probably the problem. If it's coming to the water line, I'm gonna lean toward, I'm not gonna jump right in there and put another filter in there and find out that's not the issue. So what I'm gonna do in this one, now that I've shot in the Icemaker, I've actually shot water using a syringe in there, and it is not producing ice, but I can feel the ice is frozen in there. I'm gonna actually pull the whole Icemaker out, let it de-thaw, and see if that resets it before I go ahead and order another Icemaker and see if that's my troubleshooting fix. I'm hoping this solves the problem. We'll find out. So the simple way to get to this stage that I'm at is gonna be take your Icemaker out. You're just gonna pull this thing out of here. It comes right out. Set this to the side. Haven't produced ice in a couple days, so I know I'm in the middle of this project. And then we're gonna come right up here. At this point, there is a cover right here, and a lot of times it's a little bit difficult to pull off. You'll use a screwdriver to kind of get your way in there, but I've kind of messed with mine enough that it should pop off. I might have to work it a little bit. There we go. It pops right off. Yeah, you'll use one screwdriver to get in there. And then we're gonna separate this electrical plug, and then we're gonna pop this little plastic tab right there. We're gonna put a screwdriver up under there, and then the whole unit should slide out. And we're gonna just let it sit, pour some hot water on it, let it wash the ice out of there, and then we'll put it back in just to see if that resets everything, and hope that I haven't damaged or broken my Icemaker already. I have noticed a little bit that when I mess with it and I move it around a little bit, it sometimes feels like it's kicking on. So I have a feeling the issue is my ice maker this round versus that water supply in the back, the water supply valve or the filter. So I'm hoping it's not that, and I'm hoping maybe, you know, doing the old unplug it, let it dethaw, and let it kick back in solves my problem. If it doesn't, I'll probably be ordering another ice maker, putting that in, and then hoping that fixes my problem. And if not, I'll be taking some other troubleshooting steps, and hopefully I don't have to hire a pro in the end. We'll see. Okay, so I am always fighting with this thing, but for mine, I have to like push a flathead screwdriver right in there to separate it. I was able to get it to pull out there, so now that's good. And then I'm just gonna come right up here on this side, and we're gonna try and get this guy to come out of there. So again, you'll see me do this. You need to separate enough, and then you pull the whole contraption out of there. It can be a little bit of a forced item, and you wanna be careful not to break anything, but I'm pretty sure you gotta just kind of yank on it a little bit. There we go, now it's starting to come out. Pulling that whole thing out. There we go. All right. Yep, okay, so here's what we got going on, a little bit of our problem. Right off the bat, I can see I've got water frozen up top here. That seems like that's gonna be my problem, I'm hoping. So I think I was getting water and the signal wasn't kicking on, but I'm also thinking now my ice maker might have frozen in place somehow. So I'm really hoping that by dethawing this thing and seeing what's left, we might get lucky and I may not have to come back and replace this whole contraption. Probably gonna let it thaw, but let's take a look a little closer and see how I'm gonna handle this. All right, so that upper ice problem right there tells me something was definitely misbehaving, and that could have been the problem behind all of this, that once it got frozen in that top slot, that it wasn't gonna let anything come out of there. So I'll use a screwdriver to clean that out. It's possible too that I might have a frozen line up there, in which case I may have to get a hairdryer or heat gun or something to do that. But for starters, just cleaning out this ice, I'm hoping gives me a fresh run. You think something so simple as an ice cube up top in the fill area wouldn't be the problem, but you know, you never know. So that's one part of our problem, we think. And right now, I'm going to just simply let this thing dry out and hopefully melt it out over my sink before I put it back in. It should thaw out over a little bit of time. So I have no idea if this is going to matter at all or not, but I'm going to simply take a small screwdriver here and just make sure that I can get around up there. Since I know I had some ice in the top, I want to make sure that my ice maker is not causing me problems there. And it's also not a bad practice. Some people, especially if you can afford to do it with your food, will let their refrigerator thaw out for a day. And that's a good idea in a lot of ways, because if you're able to let it thaw out, you can actually end up with a pretty good chance of recovery for your ice maker and your whole refrigerator, in that other things will dethaw and you won't have the same problem. So we'll see. I might go to that solution next if this doesn't pan out for me. So we'll see how it goes. So you've watched a lot of troubleshooting steps with this ice maker, with the Maytag refrigerator, also as a Whirlpool. So hopefully it gives you some ideas on what might be wrong with your refrigerator. I'm wishing you the best and a lot of success. I do have some additional links if you're looking for some other videos on how to troubleshoot this fridge. I feel like I'm way more invested in this ice maker and this fridge than I should be, because of experience and having to do a lot of troubleshooting with it. So hopefully it works for you. You'll see my output, my finished product here. This fix was actually the ice maker. That turned out to be the solve. I did replace the original model with the dial style. It was kind of recommended by the manufacturer, so it's kind of interesting. They went from one version to now they're recommending the dial version. So that's the ice maker I'm running right now. Swapped out our ice maker. We've got all the parts and pieces back in place, and now we're gonna test it. Moment of truth. We've got just like that. We got a fresh set of ice. The ice maker repair has worked. So I'm really excited to have replaced this ice maker. Feel good that it's working nicely, and hopefully these instructions help you in replacing your ice maker. If you're looking for this specific model to replace your ice maker, feel free to check that out in the video link description below. It'll access through Amazon. You can buy a variety of different ice makers for your Maytag or whatever brand fridge you're working on. And good luck to you. I hope it works well for you. I know I love my ice. You feel like you're going through a very tough time when you don't have ice in your house. So again, thanks for watching DIYNate, and have a great day.